Good morning and happy wonderful Wednesday. Welcome to the Big Bounce Show, the show that challenges you to bounce back from adversity and come back from a setback. Hi, it is session number 31 and we are still cooking with gas, and it is July 30th. I hope you all have been having a blessed week. Well, I want to read something to you and then we're going to talk about it. And then I'm going to tell you the title of this session. God grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Yeah, let that sink in. The title of our session is Strength, Courage, and Wisdom. All right, let's dig in. I'm so glad to be back on this wonderful Wednesday. Well, as you all know, the first part of that talks about acceptance. So the part of my acceptance was to realize that my husband was not operating in the land of the living. So I had to accept that. But then we have to move on to the courage to change the things that we can. So this summer for me was about changing things that I can. I spent 2.5 wonderful weeks with my children and my mom, my brother, cousins, aunties, and fellowship with family. That was great. Then my daughter and her boyfriend came down and spent time with me, had my grandson here for 10 days. But after that, it was about moving into an area of greatness. So what did that look like for me? Yeah, working on my spiritual connection was first and foremost the important thing. And then I had to work on physical things that affected my health. I had to clean up some things in my finances. All those things that I was working on. So it was a spiritual and a mental and emotional transformation that took place. Also, there was a time of reflection. Always look back and see the progress that is being made. I had to deal with the space that I call a home. So I had to call in a team to help. Designers, organizers, to help me get that space that I'll call home good for my mental health. Yes, in the process of doing that right now. So those are things that I was able to change. But it took courage to move into the direction of change. I also spent time bicycling, sitting in my backyard, watching the ducks float across the water. I spent time watching old comedy shows and laughing out loud. Yes. And those are the things that I could change. Excuse me. And then it comes to the wisdom to know the difference. Those things that I am not able to change at this time, I had to learn to accept. Yeah. It's kind of what we have to do. Right. And then change the things we can, and remember to have the wisdom to know the difference. Which brings me to India Ari. So you know that I love music. India Ari has a song called Strength, Courage, and Wisdom. I invite you to listen to that song. But we always have a quote and a scripture. And I want to take a piece from that song right now and put it in the space for our quote. Okay, so it says, inside my voice, there is a soul. And in my soul, there is a voice. That's by India Ari. Let that sink in. Inside my voice, there is a soul. And in my soul, there is a voice. India Ari. Let that sink in. And our scripture comes from Proverbs 3:13. Blessed are those who find wisdom, those who gain understanding. Blessed are those who find wisdom, those who gain understanding. Proverbs 3:13. So, let me have this talk with you. Remember, we're going to learn to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and have that wisdom to know the difference. Kind of like strength, courage, and wisdom lives inside of you all alone. Strength, courage, and wisdom, it lives inside. Yes. Y'all know those songs be dropping in my head. But just take time to reflect on these things until we meet again on the next wonderful Wednesday. And until then, before I get off, I need to see some comments so I can know what I do and that God does through me makes a difference. And if you're watching me on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button and that bell. Yes. But until then, we're going to bounce back from adversity, right? Are we ready? 1, 2, 3. Bounce back. See you next Wednesday, next wonderful Wednesday.